Let's see these weapons in action. We have the buffed up version of Asta's Demon Slaying Sword, now titled the Black Divider, with this really intensive new look, simplistic yet really cool. The fact that the handle goes to this extra pitched black, and you just have this anti-magic layer around it with the piece going into the blade from the hilt, just kind of like veining out all the anti-magic. Very cool looking, very cool looking. Just it's such again a simplistic yet very effective design effect. And then Spirit of Zephyr, which is this long sword. Which again, if you watched my video I did recently, I'm still under the theory that it's a bow or an arrow in some regard. We'll see probably by the end of this fight. Again, it could easily be a sword, but I just have my suspicions. But anyway, to the chapter itself, there's some acknowledgement from all the other people around him, or at least those still watching. They're unaware of these two. You got Petra, who's just impressed by the growth of these two characters, and Lumir, who's taking more an astonishing look to pretty much like the fact that has wind sword, wind blade attack, and knowing who Licht is, knowing who Tedia was, and the fact that Licht uses sword magic, and here we have Tedia using wind magic, and now you have this kind of combination of the two. I wonder who that could be. I know there's still a lot of people that believe that the soul of their child is within Yuno's body. I am still on board with the fact that I believe that Yuno is that one, and again, he's just been in control the whole time, and that's why the resurrection didn't really work on them. It just kind of stayed So again, that's a theory. It's not really relevant right now, but let's just keep going. And then Sekri actually, just kind of gives a little bit of note of Asta, seeing how she feels about him, which is really cool. We get two instances of that in this chapter. She's telling Lumir that Asta is someone who was born without magic, but he's pretty much pushed himself harder than anybody else in the country, and that's how he's gotten to where he's at now. And he's an idiot who is very bad at giving up, which again is both a double-edged sword for Asta. We saw it back when he fought Vito. The fact that not giving up has its benefits, but could also lead straight to the brink of death. And he was lucky to have his team then. And it's lucky that he's got his team now, because now they're going to have some really interesting combinations laid out within this chapter. So him and first thing they do, because Asta says that he's not sure if he can keep this form up too long of the Black Divider, and probably the same for with Spirit of Zephyr. So they want to get to it very fast. And they just go rushing in, cutting all the weird tentacly monsters coming out from the Devil's Spell, and he's just like, you guys aren't going to be able to do anything to me at that speed. And one of the things about Asta and I always really liked is the fact that they have kind of just like a synergy about them, and it's like when you see two characters, I think that they just work well together. They're able to kind of do combinations without verbally saying it because they know exactly what the other's trying to get them to do. Takes his sword and kind of has this thrust motion, and it creates this tempest wind that spirals and shoots Asta forward, propelling him like a freaking bullet or like a ballista shot over at the devil, who pierces him right through the chest, and it's through where his heart would be. But we know that from what we've seen of this guy that his body isn't really his body. It seems to be more of like just a constructed visage, because really down to his core, as long as his heart is okay, he's gonna be fine. And he seemingly moved his heart. He put it on the other side, so us actually skewer the wrong place. And when that happened, the devil starts to get a bit irritated. From beforehand, we've really seen him kind of start out for a while. He was very kind of just null emotion, and I would say I guess null alteration of emotion, because he stayed pretty much who he was even when he got his pieces of his body cut or chopped off. It didn't really change his personality at all. He just stayed pretty much all calm and tranquil, and pretty much just acting like he's having fun. But now he's starting to get mad. He's annoyed that they were able to get such an attack on him, and obviously anti-magic is much different than any of the other attacks he's taken. This could have killed him, seemingly at least, as long as it skewered his heart. They just were able to get to a point where they had an opening for him, But because of the fact they didn't know he could move his heart, and he just switched its sides, that they're still now in this fight. If only Asta like flipped the blade so it was like flat going through his chest, and pretty much would have just like chopped him right like horizontally, like right where his heart is, right at the pectoral. Then it would have been good. But I imagine he wasn't thinking about, oh, what if he switched heart sides or something. But it gets real spooky when he's the devil gets pissed off, because now he's got like these mouths forming all over his body, these sharp fangs, like the fangy toothed mouths, and they're like all saying words, they're all throwing insults and just like upset, and they're all saying different spells, and you see like the weird like tentacly creations of these monsters like pretty much start to like form up in these like spheres, almost like these big floating clumps, and you have like the heads are now turning, some of them are turning white, and you have like big like claws coming out of them, and they're starting to really like morph, and he's decided now that this is the game's over. It's gonna be, I'm gonna take care of you guys, I'm gonna get rid of you now because you guys are pissing me off. He actually almost died, in that moment, but now he's at a spot where he's just like, I don't know what else to do. The screwing around is almost screwed me, so I'm just gonna have to end things. And you just see like these again like big streams of those like slug leechy creatures from the demonic dimension, like oozing out of that big like open space in the Shadow Palace, just kind of like sliming down, very very grotesque looking, like clumps of them are falling off. You have the long like snake like appendage necks coming out of like some, and just like slithering and like slapping along the structures. Very very creepy when you see them, and they're just like trying to figure out what are they gonna do. Everyone below, this is pretty much anybody not in the fight already that's not at the top, that's got some form of like really OP support, someone like Lumir, Patri, or Licht. They're in some shit. I mean, like the only other like people we got, Marileona and like Fuego Leon, who are probably, they got some aspect of that they should be relatively okay, but I feel bad for like Noelle somewhere down there, and you just know that when she sees this, she's gonna be in the most calm of states. But I actually really like that while Asta and are doing what they can, you have Licht and Lumir who are in the back, and they're just, after they saw this quick motion, they're like, we can't just let this era of people die. We need to do our part too. We need to get in there. We of the past still need to protect those of the future. So, they're trying to get back in the fight. They got stuff that they want to prove as well. But they also want to take this guy out. They want to take this dude down and put him out. And again, I really like this panel of Asta and is kind of like presented. I really like the parallels between them, especially like the way that the forms are on one side each. That's one of the things I really want not to have that as a sword. I want it to switch over and be a bow or an arrow of some kind, a javelin even, a ranged weapon, because I really like that they have very mirrored kind of like things about them. Is tall, Asta's short, is calm, Asta's loud. Asta's close range, while is long range. These aspects about them that have kind of like all like complemented each other, gave them their own kind of like feel to them, which I feel like part of that, not entirely. It's not like the difference between them will fade away if has a sword. But I don't know. I just feel like it'll feel odd for his character, really, and it's not a bad thing. It's just my opinion. I'm hoping also that it goes that way, just so I can say I called it. I'm telling you, it's just I'm keeping my theory until the end of this battle, and if somehow it ever happens later in the series, I'm gonna like point back in that video I did X amount of chapters prior and be like, see, I gotcha, I called it. Something funny like that. But now, you actually got, again, like I said earlier, you had the comment from Sekri about Asta, and then you get the one at the start and one at the beginning. And she said that at first, the first time she saw Asta, she wanted to use him. She saw that he had the anti-magic swords, or rather sword at the time. And, she was like, oh, I'll use him, for obvious reasons. He's got anti-magic, very powerful. He's got, the sort of the five-leaf grimoire. She says it's by pure coincidence he got it. I still believe that it had something to do with the demon inside of the grimoire. I have my own suspicions about that. I've talked about it a little bit before. I still believe that maybe there's reasons why the demon picked Asta because he seemed very friendly with him when they interacted for a brief period of time back in the Witch's Forest arc. We'll see. We haven't gotten interaction between them since, and that was over 100 chapters ago. That was what, 120 chapters ago or something. That was what, 197, 198, I think. Or not 197, chapter 97 or chapter 98. I think it's 97, where they had that little kind of like communication between each other. But anyway, now you see her just kind of like acknowledging all the stuff he's been through and all those parts that she's watched him grow, and she, still wants to believe in Asa just like she believes in everyone else. But obviously now she's got a little bit more of like personal feelings towards having Asta, not like, doesn't instantly mean romantic feelings, but she's watched him grow, so she's got, she's definitely got some emotional attachment to him, which will be nice to see after this arc, where it's not like, they're not in this crazy set of things of what's going on with this, horrific demon who's got, whatever crazy scheme up his sleeve and whatever like malefic plans he's got just all up in his games. But I almost said game plan, but I don't need to say play twice. But anyway, interesting chapter, very short. The series is actually on break next week, which is surprising because outside of like magazine breaks, whenever the magazine itself is on break, I don't remember the last time Black Clover's been on break. But I know Tabata has been feeling, he's just been feeling worn down lately. I've seen some of the comments from him in the weekly Shonen Jump pages. When you get all the authors will say, it's like a sentence or so, and you can tell he's tired. Not like I don't want to do this series more, just like I'm overworked, I'm exhausted. Just give him I'm fine with him having a week off for the next week, and then get back on, finish the arc, and then take he could take like a week or two off before getting back to the series. Because all in all, even though it's like, damn, we're gonna have to wait 2 weeks to find out what happens beyond this, and it's gonna be rough considering that we're only a couple of chapters away from the end of this arc. But Tabata's health is very important too. We know that mangaka work weekly mangaka especially work really hard hours, and Tabata, who very rarely takes breaks, and he's had all this like really cool plot twists and really sick art panels and all this fun stuff that's been going on in this arc. He deserves a break. So look forward to the next chapter. Again, 2-week break. It'll be a bit rough, but we can do it. I can endure a week of no Black Clover for Tabata to take a rest, as long as he doesn't I would say as long as he doesn't take any more breaks after this until the arc's over. Just take those couple chapters after this and then and just finish it out. Just not to hurt the pacing, I'd say. But he does deserve a rest for a bit. But other than that, drop a comment below what you thought about this. I like the acknowledgement from the kind of some of the older people about and Asta and their efforts and all this, while at the same time they're like, we can't let these young people, go out and do everything and die in the process. We got to protect them. That's part of the whole shtick of, the older generation need to, guide the newer generation. And, when their time or when our time is over, we need to, do what we can to help the future proceed. And I'm curious about Lumire's too, since he's like a weird, dying statue guy. But other than that, drop a comment below and what you thought about the chapter. Again, short chapter, but we had some interesting panels and some really cool character comments, and it looks like the devil is about to finally just get serious. So we've only got a couple left, and that will probably be the end of this arc. Again, an arc that's taken up a third of the series, and it's had so many sick battles and character development moments and just character progressions that it's been a blast reading this arc. So again, drop a comment below. I'd really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, press the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Beyond that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank y'all for listening. Bye.